Very good morning, students. Am I audible? Can you see the slide? Can anyone reply?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Before going for the today's topic, let me just do a quick recap of the concepts what we understood in the previous class. So we discussed about the qualities of charismatic leader. So a number of studies have identified qualities, that differentiate a charismatic and a non-charismatic leaders, and have described the behaviors and that help the charismatic leaders achieve remarkable results. So these characteristics are attributions by followers based on the behavior of charismatic leaders. So some of the qualities of a charismatic leaders what we discussed in the previous class were like the vision. What is this vision? The charismatic leaders articulate a transcendent vision that becomes the rallying cry of a movement or a cause. That means the leader's vision must result from a collaborative effort. So charismatic leaders formulate their vision by synthesizing seemingly disparate issues, values, and problems from many sources of the organization. And even students, these charismatic leaders' vision is concerned, they have a compelling picture of a future and are very passionate about it. And then after that, the second quality, you can see the cursor here, that is a fantastic or a superb communication skills. That means a charismatic leader will be having a lot of confidence, due to which the communication also will be clear, and in whatever he is communicating, he'll be very confident in that. So charismatic leaders make extensive use of metaphors, analogies, and even some small stories rather than abstract rational disclosure to make their points. So another significant aspect of the communication style of a charismatic leader is that they make extensive use of anecdotes to get their message across. Anecdotes means what, students? Small stories which inspires the listeners. And then we even discussed about the self-confidence and the moral conviction, what the important quality of a charismatic leader. Then ability to inspire the trust, high risk orientation, and he'll be having very high energy. The energy level will be very high throughout the day, and action oriented. That means first he will get into the field and show others that how exactly it has to be executed. Then relational power base. So we discussed about this relational power base. It means there is a powerful identification with the emulation of the leader and an unquestioning acceptance of and affection for the leader. So, unlike other types of leadership, it is intensely relational and based almost entirely upon referent and expert power. Even when the leader occupies a formal organizational role. So, what we are studying now, we are just doing a quick recap of the concepts what we discussed in the previous class. We are trying to understand some of the qualities of a charismatic leader. Then, minimum internal conflict. That means charismatic leaders are convinced they are right in their vision and strategies, which explains why they persist and stay the course even through setbacks. Because of this conviction, a strong positive conviction, they experience less guilt and discomfort in pushing followers to stay the course even when faced with the threats. Then ability to empower others and self-promoting personality. So till here we had understood in the previous class. Today we will understand how one acquires charismatic qualities. So is it because of the experience what they have gained, or is it because of the environment where they're working, or is it because of the support what they'll get from the colleagues and from the higher ups? We'll try to understand how an individual acquires the charismatic qualities. So, given the potential benefits of charismatic leadership, it is reasonable to wonder whether some of the traits, characteristics, and behaviors of charismatic people can be developed or it can be enhanced. See, some individuals will be having these charismatic qualities by the way they have grown, and some will be having the charismatic qualities because of some of the incidents which has happened with them. right? So it can be through practice and self discipline. That means the results reveal that you can the more you practice and your self discipline, that is very important, wherein you can acquire the charismatic qualities. Then practice being candid and develop a warm and a positive and a humanistic attitude towards the people with whom you're working. That's very important. And develop an enthusiastic, optimistic, and energetic personality. See, very important is whom do you feel, whom do you wish to speak, who inspires you, who creates a positive vibes among you, who always will be, optimistic, result oriented, very positive, enthusiastic, and a very energetic person. The moment you see someone, you feel that okay, I need to listen to him, I need to go in his direction. So how you can acquire all these qualities? So you as an individual should develop an enthusiastic, optimistic, and energetic personality. That's very important. You cannot call everybody as a most charismatic leader on this earth. These qualities, what we discussed in the previous slide, from vision to self-promoting personality, we can acquire and become a charismatic leader by discipline. Self-discipline is very important. And practice being candid and develop a warm, positive, and a humanistic attitude towards the people with whom you are working or with whom you are surrounded with. So you can develop an enthusiastic, optimistic, and energetic personality. A major behavior pattern of charismatic people is their combination of enthusiasm, optimism, and a very high energy level. And through practice and self-discipline means how you can practice. You can develop your visionary skills by practicing the act of creating a vision in a college course. And then you can practice being candid. How? Although not insensitive, the charismatic person is typically forthright in giving his or her assessment of a situation, whether the assessment is positive or negative. And remember, students, these charismatic people or leaders are direct. They speak directly rather than indirect in their approach, so that there is no ambiguity about their position or even any other issues. So these are some of the methods, or these are some of the ways through which one or an individual can acquire the charismatic qualities. When transformational leadership is concerned, see, transformational leadership, it focuses on a leader's transforming. Please understand this. It's very, very easy, but please understand what I'm saying. Transformational leadership focuses on the leader's transforming abilities rather than on personal characteristics and follower relations. So transformational leaders are known for moving and changing things in a very big way by communicating to followers a special vision of the future, tapping into followers' higher ideals and motives. As organizations continue to face global challenges, because today in the current environment is concerned, we all are working in the global environment, and so competition is likely to happen. So J.M. Burns first articulated the idea of transformational leadership in the year 1978. The transformational leadership focuses largely on the leader's vision rather than on follower attributions. Transformational leaders are known for moving and changing things in a very big way by communicating to followers a special vision of future, tapping into followers' higher ideals and motives. And as I mentioned to you, as each and every organization in present scenario continue to face global challenges, the need for the leaders who can successfully craft and implement bold strategies that will transform or align the organization's strengths and the weaknesses with emerging opportunities and threats is ever greater. So transformational leadership is about change. And remember, students, only change is the only constant. So it describes a process of positive influence that changes and transforms individuals, organizations, and even communities. And they generate excitement and energy by focusing on the future. Students, am I audible to you? Can anyone reply? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we speak about the transformational leadership, as the name only suggests, transformation leadership focuses largely on the leader's vision. And the meaning is very clear. Transformation leadership majorly focuses on a leader's transformational abilities rather than on personal characteristics and follow the relations. See, transformational leaders are also known for moving and changing things in a very big way. And transformation leadership, it serves to change the status quo by articulating to followers the problems in the current system and a compelling vision of what a new organization could be. See, they understand the importance of trust building as a means to create or as a means to creating a high commitment to mission driven outcomes. And transformational leaders, please understand this, they seek to transform or change the basic values, beliefs, and even the attitudes of followers so that they are willing to perform beyond the minimal levels specified by the organization. So, transaction, very important what you have to understand. Don't get confused with transformational leadership and transactional leadership. I have not yet come to transactional leadership. I'm just explaining you the transformational leadership. Okay. So, transformational leaders are similar to charismatic leaders in that they can articulate a compelling vision of the future and influence followers by arousing strong emotions in support of the vision. So, the transformational leader cultivates follower acceptance of the work group mission. So the transformational manager follower relationship is one of the mutual stimulation and is characterized by four important factors, which are they? One is charisma is concerned and inspiration and individual consideration and intellectual stimulation. So, transformational leaders can emerge from different levels of the organization. Please understand, it cannot be the top level management or it cannot be the middle level management. It can be like, he can emerge from the different levels of the organization. Therefore, an organization may have many transformational leaders. In contrast, charismatic leaders are few in number. So next we'll understand the transactional leadership here, students. Please try to understand the transactional leadership. They seek to maintain a stability within an organization through regular economic and social exchanges that achieve specific goals for both the leaders and the followers. So let me elaborate more on these two, that is transformational and transactional leadership. Or there might be a question like, explain the difference between the transformational and the transactional leadership. So what was the major thing? One approach to determine the effective leadership is how managers and employees influence one another. It is a well-known fact that managers can and do behave differently in similar organizations and similar jobs, correct? And one explanation for this particular variance has been found to be the leadership type, whether the leader is transformational or whether the leader is transactional. And leaders rated as transformational were described as, please understand, I'm repeating once again, students, leaders who were rated as transformational were described as influential, inspirational, and even charismatic. Whereas leaders rated as transactional were described as task and reward oriented, structured as well as passive. And James McGregor Burns developed one of the early comparisons of transactional and transformational leadership. As defined earlier, transformational leadership serves to change the status quo by articulating to followers the problems in the current system and a compelling vision of what a new organization could be. Correct? Whereas transactional leadership seeks to maintain stability within an organization through regular economic and social exchanges that achieve specific goals for both the leaders and their followers. And the transactional leaders enters into specific contractual agreements with followers in exchange for meeting specified objectives or performing certain duties. The leader provides benefits that satisfy followers' needs and desires. And a beautiful example, what I can give you is an example of transactional leadership occurs when managers give monthly bonuses. Please understand this. I'm repeating, when managers give monthly bonuses to salespeople for meeting and exceeding their monthly sales quotas, or to production people for exceeding the quality standards. So these exchanges involve specific goods that are tangible, not the intangible incentives such as mere satisfaction with being a part of an inspiring vision, like that. So transactional leadership is conceptually similar to the cultural maintenance form of the leadership, which acts to strengthen existing structures, strategies, and culture in an organization. So there are some effects what we'll try to understand in case of transformational leadership. We'll try to understand that. So transformational leadership describes a process of positive influence that changes and transforms individuals, organizations, and communities. That means he tried to transform the old system and try to imbibe the new systems over there, so that thereby transforming the individual, organization, and the communities. And he influenced their constituencies to make the shift from focus on self-interest to a focus on collective interest. Always remember, students, the focus should be towards the organizational vision. We call it as a collective vision. Then only the organization will be successful. Okay, that is the effect of transformational leadership. And inspire and motivate followers to trust and follow their example. Generate excitement and energy by focusing on the future. That's very important. A transformational leader, he tries to show his followers that an organization growth is concerned. If the organization grows, in turn, it's your career growth. In turn, it's your personal growth is also there. So he generates excitement and energy by focusing on the future. And he influences team performance and even team potency. See, this is very important thing what we have to understand here. One who shows your potential. Everybody who are working in the team or working in the organization will be having the potential within them. But a transformational leader, what the effect of transformational leadership is concerned, he influences the team performance, and even he gets out, or he gets the potential which is there in you by motivating you, by supporting you, by mentoring you, and has a strong significant influence on the organizational learning. That's very important. So transformational leader behaviors and attributes are concerned. Bass and Avilio propose that transformational leadership is composed of 4 behavior dimensions and referred to them as 4 I's. I'm repeating once again. Bass explain the transformational leader behaviors and attributes. Bass and Avilio propose that transformational leadership is composed of 4 behavior dimensions and referred to them as 4 I's, which are the idealized influence, which is nothing but charisma, then inspirational motivation, then inspirational consideration, and intellectual stimulation. So now, before going to this, we'll try to understand transformational leaders are usually brought into an organization that is experiencing a crisis or approaching total collapse, to institute turnaround strategies that can rescue the organization. So this often involves fundamental changes in followers' actions, thoughts, and the work ethic to bring about profound and positive outcomes. Correct. So there is some agreement among the some scholars and the practitioners that certain transformational leadership practices are necessary for the successful transformation. So when we speak about idealized influence, that is charisma, which is the ability to develop great symbolic power that is then used to influence the followers. Then inspirational motivation is concerned, leader employs visionary explanations to deposit what the work group can accomplish. See, when we speak about the inspirational motivation, a leader or a transformational leader or a charismatic leader is concerned, he will be giving a lot of examples. He'll be telling the followers a lot of anecdotes and connecting to the success stories, thereby motivating all his followers or all his subordinates, and the work should be accomplished or completed within the given task. When individual consideration is concerned, the mentoring role, it plays a very important role, students, in any organization for that sake. Mentoring role often assumed by transformational leaders. The leader serves as a mentor to the followers. Whom do you call as a mentor? Whom you trust, whom you think that who knows, maximum things in the organization, who actually stepped into the shoes of the subordinates, try to assist the followers, try to motivate the followers, try to encourage the followers, try to get the potential what is there hidden in you and show your true potential, right? So intellectual stimulation is concerned, leaders creative and out of the box thinking style. See, always you can see many success stories of the leader, they'll be always thinking out of the box. They'll never think like how a normal human being thinks. A classic example is like your Elon Musk is concerned. All of you have heard of Elon Musk as a very classic example of a charismatic leader who always thinks out of the box. And some of his quotes are also very interesting, which he always keeps telling these quotes, which says he always thinks out of the box. So what I mean to say is, a timeline of events and quotes, like if you see Elon Musk, if you have read about him, who's one of the most successful entrepreneur, many even call him the new Steve Jobs. So his product launches set off the same frenzy. He's the new cool out to make a dent in the universe. He always tells that my proceeds from the PayPal acquisition were 180 million US dollars, and I put 100 million US dollars in SpaceX, 70 million in Tesla, and 10 million in Solar City. I had to borrow money for rent. And very important thing, what he tells is talent is extremely important. Very, very, very rightly told. Talent is extremely important. It's like a sports team. The team that has the best individual player will often win. But then there is a multiplier from how those players work together and the strategy they employ. That's very important, right? So intellectual stimulation is concerned, leaders always think out of the box, especially these charismatic leaders. Leader inspires followers to question their own beliefs and learn to solve the problems creatively by themselves. As you can see here, we'll have transformational leader behaviors. We'll try to understand some of them here. Behavior components and the description is concerned. Creation and articulation of vision. So you can see my cursor here. Creation and articulation of vision. The description, the transformational leader behaviors I'm explaining you. Explain the transformational leader behaviors. So leader behavior that is uh, directed at finding new opportunities for the organization. That is very important, students. In this competition era, the companies cannot simply keep on manufacturing the same thing for the next 10 years because the technology is changing. So they need to manufacture as per the needs of the customer, right? So the behavior that is directed at finding new opportunities for the organization, formulating, articulating, and inspiring followers with the vision of a better future. And always remember, students, the organization where you are working, if that organization grows, obviously the employees of the organization will also grow, right? In terms of all the benefits I'm telling. And then the second important that is behavioral component is role modeling is concerned. So this is very important, setting an example for the followers that is consistent with the organizational values and expectations. We always tell, right, "Arey, he or she is like a role model for me." Why? Because he has set an example in the life. He has achieved something in the life which others cannot do. He's an extraordinary achiever. See, achievers always have one quality, that they have a never give up quality. Let it be entire night they'll be sitting and working, or early morning they'll be getting up and working, but they ensure that the work should be completed. It should be perfect. Never give up attitude should be there, right? Then fostering a buy-in of term goals. What do you mean by this? The behavior aimed at encouraging and building teamwork among followers and the commitment to shared goals. Then we have, see the next slide, students, personalized leader member exchange. See, the description for this could be behavior that indicates that the leader trusts, respects, and has confidence in each follower. That's very important. A leader, and gaining the confidence is concerned that followers will be executing, will be slowly over the period of years, that that will come to the leader. He cannot trust each and every follower over there, but it will come over a period depending on how exactly he is executing his work, or how loyal he is to the organization, right? So behavior that indicates that the leader trusts, respects, and has confidence in each follower and is concerned about their personal needs, not just organizational needs. And empowerment, a behavior on the part of the leader that challenges followers to think outside the box and re-examine old ways and methods. That's very important. And finally, high performance expectations are concerned, behavior that conveys the leader's expectations for everyday excellence and superior performance on the part of the followers. So these are the transformational leader behaviors. So you should be knowing the first behavior component. What we discussed was what? Creation and articulation of vision, then role modeling, then fostering a buy of term goals and high performance expectations, personalized leader member exchange, and finally empowerment. And then steward and servant leadership is concerned. It's very, very interesting what we can understand from this stewardship and servant leadership. So stewardship and servant leadership are related to charismatic and transformational leadership, in that they focus on empowering followers, not leaders, to exercise the leadership in accomplishing the organizational goals. And students, please understand, traditional leadership theory emphasized the leader follower structure, in which the follower accepted responsibility from the leader and was accountable to the leader. However, the contemporary view of leadership views the leader as a steward and the servant of the people and the organization. So leadership is less about directing or controlling, and more about focusing on helping followers do their jobs, rather than having followers help the managers do their jobs. So therefore, students, stewardship and servant leadership represent a shift in the leadership paradigm toward followers. So this shift represents the views of those who believe that leadership has less to do with the directing over people and more to do with serving other people. Correct? So stewardship and servant leadership are about placing others ahead of oneself and are viewed as a model for successful leadership in any field or profession. Okay? And the nature of and the servant leader, the nature of stewardship and servant leadership is concerned. Stewardship is an employee focused form of leadership that empowers followers to make decisions and have control over their jobs. Servant leadership is a leadership that transcends self interest to serve the needs of others by helping them grow professionally and personally. Now, let me elaborate more on this stewardship and servant leadership is concerned. Both leadership styles emphasizes patience, kindness, and humility, respectfulness, honesty, and even commitment. Stewardship and servant leadership describe leaders who lead from the positions of authority, not power, and a very follower centered. And students, though some may view these two concepts of leadership as synonymous and use the terms interchangeably, there do exist subtle yet significant differences between the two concepts. While both shine the spotlight on those who actually perform the day-to-day task of producing goods and services for an organization's customers, servant leadership takes stewardship assumption about the leaders and the followers one step further. And very important is servant leadership calls for the highest level of selflessness, a level that some doubt exists in the real world. The leader makes a conscious decision to hold followers in high regard. And servant leadership is described as an act of will and intellect, not of the fickleness of fleeting emotions. And the leader is driven to serve, not to be served. So this is similar to the qualities of a charismatic leader such as Gandhi. Correct? So we should not forget, however, that servant leadership is about the leader being a servant, not, please understand students, I'm repeating once again. We should not forget, however, that servant leadership is concerned is about the leader being a servant, not a slave to others. Got it? And this is a very, very important framework to understand, a framework for stewardship, what we call. Leadership thinking based on stewardship prescribes a relationship between leaders and the followers in which leaders lead without dominating or controlling followers. Leaders who embody the stewardship concept are sincerely concerned about their followers and assist them to grow, develop, and even achieve both personal and organizational goals. An effective steward leader creates an environment in which everyone works together as a team to achieve organizational goals. So here you can see, students, equality assumption, reward assumption, teamwork orientation, and decentralization. We'll try to understand each one of them in detail now. The first one is concerned, I'm taking teamwork orientation, that is strong teamwork orientation. See, there might be a question like, explain the framework for stewardship. So what do you mean by strong teamwork orientation over there? Stewardship works best in the situations where self-managed teams, SMTs of core employees and the leader, they work together to formulate goals and strategies for a changing environment and marketplace. And here, students, the leader's role is less dominant and more supportive of the process. Where a strong team spirit is absent, a leader must play a dominant role to push individuals in the right direction. Correct? However, this defeats the purpose of stewardship. And then decentralized decision making and power. You can see my cursor here. Here, decentralization is concerned. Decentralized decision making and power. What do you mean by decentralized and centralized? Say, for example, stewardship is realized when authority and the decision making are decentralized and brought down to where work gets done and employees interact with customers. In this environment, stewardship has a great chance to succeed given the empowered status of employees and the closer relationship between the managers and the followers. The absence of this principle makes stewardship inoperable. Then we have, equality assumption is concerned. See the third one, see my cursor, equality assumption. See, whatever points I'm telling, I have put in the slide so that whenever you study also, it should be easy for you. And whenever you are seeing the video also, whatever is there in the point I'm putting, and all the source, all the 6 units are available in Lucier, the textbook Lucier. And I have taken the contents from the similar book, which is actually prescribed by the university, which is a fantastic book, in fact. Okay. See, equality assumption is concerned, stewardship works best when there is a perceived equality between the leaders and the followers. The applicability of the stewardship is enhanced as leaders find opportunities to serve rather than manage. And here, honesty, respect, and mutual trust prevail when there is equality, and these are values that enhance the success of stewardship. And reward assumption, the last parameter here, the reward assumption is concerned. Stewardship puts greater responsibility in the hands of employees. That means what? Therefore, to realize successful stewardship, the organization must redesign the compensation system to match rewards to actual performance. So employees with more responsibility and authority, who are compensated accordingly, flourish under stewardship because they are motivated and committed to the organization's mission. Then we have guidelines of servant leadership, students. See, servant leader, servant leaders means what? The servant leaders approach leadership from a strong moral standpoint. The servant leader operates from the viewpoint that we all have a moral duty to one another. So servant leadership emphasizes fairness and justice as a means for achieving productive organizational citizenship behavior. The servant leader sees leadership as an opportunity to serve at the ground level. See, not to lead from the top. Like, who are the leaders? Like Mother Teresa. We have seen Mother Teresa, right? An individual like Mother Teresa, through her humble and ordinary, very, very simple lady, ordinary nature, strong moral values, and dedicated service to the poor, and affection what she had towards the people, the needy people, inspired hundreds of followers to join her orders and emulate her example. Correct? So service to others over self-interest, earning and keeping others' trust, and helping others discover their inner spirit, and effective listening. So we will try to understand this particular slide. Service to others over self-interest means what? The hallmark of servant leadership is the desire to help others, was what I explained to you about Mother Teresa. Rather than desire to attain power and control over others. So doing what's right for others takes precedence over protecting one's position. Such leaders make decisions to further the good of the group rather than their own interest. Then earning and keeping others' trust means what? See, students, building the trust takes years together, but ruining it will take seconds. So servant leaders earn followers' trust by being honest and true to their word. They don't have any hidden agendas, and they're willing to give up power, reward, recognition, and control for the sake of people. Correct? And then helping others discover their inner spirit. See, the servant leader role is to help followers discover the strength of their inner spirit and their potential to make a difference, And this requires servant leaders to be empathetic to the circumstances of others. And very important, students, what we need to understand here is servant leaders are not afraid to show their vulnerabilities. And effective listening. See, always remember, a good leader or a leader or a charismatic leader or a transformational leader or a leader or a good leader will be always a good listener. So servant leaders do not impose their will on the group. Rather, they listen. And listening is an art actually. You should have a lot of patience to listen. Rather, they listen carefully to the problems, what others are facing, and then engage the group to find the best course of action. And leaders like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela, they possess both charismatic and servant leader qualities. And very humble. So they have all been described as leaders who put others' interest over self-interest, earned and kept the trust of followers, listened carefully to others' problems and concerns, and inspired the followers to believe in their own inner strength and the spirit. Correct? So these are some of the guidelines of servant leadership. And last slide I will discuss today, and we will end the session. So tomorrow I'll be continuing from here. Leadership of culture and diversity. Diversity is concerned. Culture is the aggregate of beliefs, norms, attitudes, values, assumptions, and ways of doing things that is shared by members of an organization and taught to new members. So culture is the operating system that brings to life the underlying core values of an organization. And very important, what I want to tell you is an organization's culture. Please understand this, students. I want to emphasize more on this. An organization culture is manifested in the values and the principles that leaders preach and practice in its employees' attitudes and behavior, in ethical standards and policies. An organization's position on diversity and multiculturalism can be attributed to its culture because cultural products include the values and beliefs shared by the members of an organization. So within an organization, culture gives meaning to each individual's membership in the workplace, and in so doing defines the organization's essential being. An organization culture is fairly enduring and can be described as warm, friendly, aggressive, open, or innovative, conservative, liberal, harsh, likable, and so on. See, till today, we like the culture of many organizations. They develop a culture, and it is how the culture will be born. It is because of the leader, what they have put the seed years together. It will be carried to the next generation too. And slowly what happens? The culture slowly, modifies. It can be either better or it can be worse. It all depends on the leader. And the power of culture is concerned, students. This, okay, let me discuss in the next class because it is again a very big topic. So I will end the class here, students. Thank you so much for your patience listening.
Thank you, sir.